Good morning. I'm Christina Chavez-Nelson, and I will be your worship associate today. Thank you very much, Judy, for that lovely prelude. Our opening words are number 624 in the hardback hymnal, if you wanted to read silently along, by Clark Dewey Wells. The title, Hope Again. God of Easter and infrequent spring, announce the large covenant to deceitful lands, drive the sweet liquor through our parched veins, lure us to fresh schemes of life, rouse us from tiredness, self-pity. Whet us for use, fire us with good passion, restore in us the love of living, bind us to fear and hope again. And now we will have our chalice lighting. I invite Mary Bullard up to light the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We will be reading it together in unison. But I'm going to give Mary some more time to get up here. She was all the way in the back. Ready, begin. In the light of this flame, we see the hope of a new day dawning, a day of peace and love and joy, a day in which all nations and every religion will join together to celebrate Easter and all the great holy days of humankind. The choral response will be number 266, Now the Green Blade Rise. And then the following will be our opening hymn, number 269, Lo, the Day of Days is Here, in the hardback hymnal. Now please stand as you are willing and able and sing the first hymn. Following the hymn, we will be greeting our neighbor. Lo, the Day of Days is Here, number 269.
Seeming death,
I saved us from the cowbell. I missed having Alana up here helping me, though. And now we'll have our words of affirmation, and we have plenty of children to get us started. But if you really want to help them out, feel free to say those words as well. Ready, children? Begin. We believe in love. The love is the only doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for truth is our sacrament.
We believe in helping others.
And service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity and fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures. This do we covenant, each with the other. I was so giddy hearing that, I almost started giggling. Sorry if it hit the microphone. And now our... And now our story for all ages. This is not a story actually about Easter, but I think as you listen to it, you will understand why one of the sources, the great sources for Unitarian Universalism, are the teachings of Jesus Christ. Because I had a teacher, written by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by Natalie Russell. Because I had a teacher, I love to learn. I discovered that I can do much more than I thought I could. I realized it's okay when some things are harder than others. I found that challenges can be fun. Because I had a teacher, I discovered that there are lots of ways of being smart. And I know that mistakes are just part of getting something right. I realized that some of the hardest things for me to do make me feel the proudest. Because I had a teacher, I know how good it feels when someone is happy to see me. I know that I can always ask for help. I feel like I have a friend on my side. I see that some of the most important things are said without words. Because I had a teacher, I have whole new worlds to explore. I discovered that what I can imagine, I can make real. And now I feel like I can do anything. Because I had you, I learned to believe in me. And the artists that wrote and illustrated this book dedicate them to different teachers. Thank you to Mr. Gacci, a truly extraordinary teacher from the author, to Maxine, an amazing teacher from the illustrator, and then with special thanks to the entire compendium family and to teachers everywhere. And now we get to sing our children. I seriously am very giddy about this.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go,
Campbell.
At this time in our service, we share milestones in our lives by lighting candles of joy and concern. I'd invite anyone who'd like to light a candle to come forward at this time. Today we celebrate the goodness of life, all the ways that we have found new life in the flowers of spring, the trees budding and leafing out, animals born in the spring, new opportunities for people, new ways to show love to each other. We give thanks for this congregation, for all the ways that we support each other, the opportunities to listen and to hear, to be there with each other, to work together on projects, to bring life to this community and to people that we care about. We give thanks for the wisdom from our many traditions who have influenced and encouraged Unitarian Universalism. We give thanks for this Easter day. Amen. Invite us now to sing Spirit of Life. The words are printed in the program.
Our first responsive reading is number 628 in Singing the Living Tradition, the hardback hymnal, Rolling Away the Stone. I get the plain font. and you get the italicized. Rolling Away the Stone is by Sarah Moores Campbell. In the tomb of the soul, we carry secret yearnings, pain, frustrations, loneliness, fears, regrets, worries.
In the tomb of the soul, we take refuge from the world and its heaviness.
In the tomb of the soul, we wrap ourselves in the security of darkness.
Sometimes this is a comfort, sometimes it is an escape.
Sometimes it prepares us for experience. Sometimes it insulates us from life.
Sometimes this tomb life gives us time to feel the pain of the world and reach out to heal others. Sometimes it numbs us and locks us up with our own concerns.
In this season where light and dark balance the day, we seek balance for ourselves.
Grateful for the darkness that has nourished us, we push away the stone and invite the light to awaken us to the possibilities within us and among us. Possibilities for new life in ourselves and in our world.
And now is the offertory. The choir will be singing Give Light. We no longer pass the plate because of when we rejoined, we were still concerned about COVID issues, which is why we still wear our masks. However, if you have something of a monetary gift, the plate is in the center aisle. There are envelopes there as well. Our next responsive reading is number 623, Easter morning. It's from Mark 16, and the words again are in Singing the Living Tradition, the hardback hymn. On the first day of the week, at early dawn, they came to the tomb saying,
Who will roll away the stone from the entrance to the tomb?
They looked up and saw that the stone had already been rolled back, and on the right they saw a young man. They were alarmed, but the man said to them,
"Why do you seek the living among the dead?"
So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them, and they said nothing, for they were afraid.
Easter for UUs. I have found a lot of metaphors for resurrection over the years, both in my early years as a Methodist minister and now for almost 30 years as a Unitarian Universalist minister. Each year, as I was preparing my Easter sermon, I've struggled to find metaphors with which I was really satisfied. The more conservative, evangelical, and literalistic, fundamentalist Christians always wanted a literal physical resuscitation, which to my scientific mind was always problematic. More liberal Christians could accept a spiritual resurrection without dwelling on the reanimation of Jesus' body. Obviously, even when I considered myself a Christian, I was firmly among the liberals. While I have continued to seek apt metaphors to use on Easter, the practices of many Christians have made me far less interested in associating myself with that religious tradition. Joining UUism in the early 90s, I began referring to myself as a web force religious humanist. In appreciation of the web of life, a Star Wars understanding of the universal force, and a recognition that I had not yet become a secular humanist, even though my religious sensibilities were essentially humanistic. Over the last 3 decades, I have felt mostly comfortable and accepted within Unitarian Universalism, though there have been reforming energies with which I have not felt as accepted, nor for which I have been willing to drink the Kool-Aid. I generally have supported the social justice work of this movement and have been on the board of the UU Justice Ministry of California over the last few years. Between the business of leading a church, some chronic health concerns, and the ordinary struggles of modern life, I have not given as much attention to theological and spiritual matters, lo these many years. As I prepare to enter a new and hopefully less fettered phase of life, I hope to spend more time stargazing and walking in nature. I do like saguaro, but I shall surely miss the big trees. I'm also not sure I'm ready to transition from big waters to broad deserts. I suppose it is a kind of resurrection I am seeking, at least to a simpler, easier manner of living, but I'm not sure how my current metaphor of change will work for those in other phases or stages of life. Nonetheless, here we are at Easter, the most important day of the Christian year, though not that significant a day for many UUs. I remember many Easter sunrise services from my youth and from days working with youth groups. I also remember singing with choirs and ringing with handbell choirs. I might even have found a tuba once or twice when a herald trumpet wasn't available. I remember family gatherings. I remember sneezing at all the Easter lilies. Not that unusual an allergy among UUs, I've discovered. This will almost certainly be my last Easter sermon, so enough with caterpillars turning into butterflies, bear and other critters hibernating, flowers and plants dying off only to return to life in the spring, Persephone spending 4 months each year with Hades before returning to the living world in the spring. I have a defibrillator implanted in case I die suddenly, but they didn't have that technology back in Jesus' day, nor even Narcan, nitroglycerin, or Viagra. I certainly don't know what happened to Jesus, either physically or spiritually, after his crucifixion. I only know the history told later by Christian writers chronicling the reason for the start of Christianity. The earliest widely accepted Christian readings are by Paul, who never met the human Jesus, but had a conversion experience on the road to Damascus and began writing perhaps a decade after the crucifixion. The four canonical Gospels attributed to prominent disciples, beginning with Mark, were probably written at least 30, and in the case of John, possibly 70 or more years after the crucifixion. We didn't get the eyewitness video account of breaking news. We didn't even get the story from the women who were first to the tomb, though there were other Gospels attributed to some of them. We got the story after followers had pondered its meaning for decades, likely enhancing and shaping it to the magical and miraculous sensibilities of the time. There have been quests to find the historical Jesus, but few outside resources or accounts mention him or the miraculous origins of Christianity. That people still tell and believe the story of Jesus' resurrection more than 2 millennia later is itself a miracle to ponder. I have long believed it was more the teachings attributed to him of love and acceptance that kept Christianity alive, but the support from Constantine and later Roman emperors certainly didn't hurt. I do believe that Christianity became something very different as the imperial religion than it was as the outlawed beliefs of small groups of followers meeting in homes and caves. Just compare the early cave churches in Cappadocia with Hagia Sophia, built in 537 in what was then Constantinople. Not to mention the later grand cathedrals of Europe and Vatican City itself. Christianity became a very different religion when it began getting involved in politics and empire building. The Russian Orthodox Church also is mixing politics with religion today in quite an unseemly way. Some UUs still take Easter very seriously, and I'm not talking about the co-option of Easter eggs and the Easter bunny from their pagan roots. There are Christian UUs who celebrate Easter much as other Christian groups. I'm pretty sure there are more of us who reference the pagan roots and emphasize rebirth and renewal metaphors, but some UUs have not ventured as far from our religious roots as most of us. The conjunction of Easter with Passover also harkens back to our Jewish roots and reminds us that many parts of early Christianity met within Jewish congregations. The Unitarian understanding of Jesus is much closer to something that would be acceptable to many Jews, whereas Trinitarian Christianity has always been a problem for Jews. But Judaism, Christianity, and Islam share a common source and a common understanding of God, if differing understandings of Jesus. That's all a different series of sermons, though. After Carnival, Mardi Gras, and Fat or Shrove Tuesday celebrations, Ash Wednesday began a 40-day plus Sundays season of Lenten penitence and sacrifice in preparation for Easter. Easter week began last Sunday with Palm Sunday, when Jesus was remembered to enter Jerusalem triumphantly on a donkey. The rest of the week remembers his trial and sentencing to crucifixion. Maundy Thursday somberly reminds Christians of Jesus' coming death, which occurs mid-afternoon on Good Friday. Holy Saturday commemorates Jesus' time in the tomb, with Easter, the third day, celebrating his resurrection. Women coming to the tomb to prepare Jesus' body for a proper Jewish burial find the stone rolled away and his body gone. They are told by a man, angel, or Jesus that he is not there. The week before Easter is sometimes referred to as the Passion, so there are passion plays to commemorate this ending to Jesus' life. Different Christian communities hold services or meditation times to remember different parts of Holy Week, with most celebrating at least Palm Sunday and Easter, with others adding Maundy Thursday and Good Friday. Some UU congregations only mention Easter in passing, while others hold a very Christian Easter service. As the most holy day of our root heritage in Christianity, it has always seemed that we ought to do more than mention it in passing. Even our most religious historical Unitarians had such a different view of Jesus from the Trinitarians who dominate American Christianity that we could not in good conscience go Trinitarian in affirming Jesus or Christ to be co-equal with God, but we could remember him as the Son of God or premier prophet and exemplar. Even those titles are a little much for more secular humanists UUs, but they do come out of our heritage, and for many UU Christians could still be affirmed today. And of course, we aren't going to satisfy everyone on this, no matter what we do. So the current minister usually takes the lead on celebrations like Easter. With some previous and future ministers, you may have or will likely take no notice or little notice of Easter. But I do like some of the Easter music, and I think we ought to talk about our Christian roots at least a couple of times a year. After this service in coming years, I may drop in at a Methodist church to get my fill of Easter music, especially if they have a good organ. If they say any creeds, I'll just mumble through with several deletions. 2 or 3 of the nearest UU churches to my new house have been going through transitions, so I may wait until they are more settled to become involved. I might have to subscribe to the New York Times. I would like to join a choir, though. Anyway, Easter is a good time to think about resurrection. I hope that Ukraine is able to come back to life soon after Putin's war ends. I also am hopeful but concerned about the increasing effects of climate change. More and more electric cars are being developed, along with some small commuter planes. There are signs of hope for ending several major sources of greenhouse gases, which may help to resurrect life on Earth. Resurrection has been almost synonymous with change in my mind for years. We each go through many changes which could be termed rebirth throughout our lives. Growing up, graduating from high school, going to work or to college, graduating from college and professional schools, marrying, having children, watching children grow up, divorcing, retiring, and many more life changes characterize our journeys. Many, if not all, of those events require some kind of rebirth, resurrection, redefinition, or change. There are many phases and stages of our lives. Our journeys may lead us far from home and perhaps around the world. Among other things, Easter may stand as a symbol that there is always a possibility of renewal, rebirth, resurrection in our own lives. However you prefer to celebrate Easter, whatever you may believe about Jesus and resurrection, I encourage you to make this day of blessing for yourselves, your family, and your friends. Have a happy Easter. Shalom, salam, blessed be, namaste, and amen. And if anyone would like to share a few brief thoughts about it, I invite you now to turn in your hymnals to 268 and sing along with Charles Wesley and me. Although the words get changed here and there, but the music is really good, so please stand as you are able. Will you now connect with each other as you are comfortable? May this congregation always be dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there's a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity. May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. Go out and bring peace and love to the world. Amen.